Good evening and welcome to the December 13th JEDO board meeting. We will call this meeting to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Madam Clerk, if you'll call the roll.
Okay, we have Mayor Padilla,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Dobler,
Here.
Council Members Emerson,
Here.
Nager, Commissioners Rapon,
Here.
Cook,
Here.
and Mays.
Here.
We have 6 present. Non-voting members are Council Members Hiller, Ortiz, Valdivia Acala, Kale, Duncan, and Hope.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to item number 3 on the agenda, action items, if the clerk will read.
A is approval of September 13, 2023 board meeting minutes.
Okay. Heard the agenda item. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve. Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Mays and second by Deputy Mayor Dobler. In this case, can we do just
Consent.
instead of
No.
do
Under
we
your operating
roll call?
rules, You do have to do a roll.
Okay, do roll call. vote then.
All right. Mayor Padilla,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Dobler,
Yes.
Councilmember Emerson,
Yes.
Commissioner Rapon,
Yes.
Cook,
Yes.
and Mays.
Yes.
We have 6 yes, motion carries.
Okay. Action item 3B, if the clerk will read.
B is approval of the 2024 Go Topeka budget and business plan.
Okay. You've heard the agenda item. Is there a motion to approve?
All approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Cook. Second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Emerson. Roll call, please.
Mayor Padilla,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Dobler,
Yes.
Councilmember Emerson,
Yes.
Commissioners Rapon,
Well,
If you want to,
ask some questions. Yeah.
you have a question.
Not necessarily, but I think they were planning on presenting it. It's up to, I mean,
We can have a presentation. It wasn't on my agenda that there was going to be a presentation, but as long as we have you here, you're welcome to come forward.
All right.
All right, we'll walk through some of the details then, and then we'll let you move on to the next agenda item. Okay, so I'm Josh Patterson. I'm the SVP of Finance for the Greater Topeka Partnership, which Go Topeka is a part of. We're gonna go to the budget slides. Okay, so before we start, I just want to point out that because Go Topeka is part of the partnership, there are a lot of budget items that we set at a top level and then allocate down to the organizations that make up the partnership. Most of those are listed on this slide. Things like salaries and benefits, our shared departments, rent, utilities, things like that. And this slide outlines some of the assumptions that we made to get to the numbers that you see in your packet. We've got on operations and admin, salaries and benefits went down slightly over 2023. That's mainly because we removed a position from the budget. 2023 had a redevelopment position in there. It was never filled in 2023, and so it was determined we didn't need that anymore. Shared services increased slightly over 2023. It's due mainly to reallocations of people's work. We do that every year. And then we also had some increased expenses in marketing related to some software that they have acquired. And then shared costs are all the other things, rent, software, stuff like that, that is not specific to Go Topeka. Those are always allocated by headcount. And because we removed that headcount, those costs went down for Go Topeka this year. So, all right, I'm going to hand it over to Molly to talk about the different departments, and then I'll come back at the end to do the rest. So,
I just plan to hit highlights of changes, and I would like to back up and just say thank you to those of you that did spend time with us. We went through the budget line by line with a number of you back in November, so that's very helpful and gets us to this point. So new business attraction and retention. So existing business and new business is in the same category for budget. And just a couple of the changes there. A slight increase. We did subscribe to some new lead generation software and some new tools as far as data mining for prospecting for new businesses. Reminder that this is also where incentive audits lie, so sometimes that kind of wiggles, and there was a slight increase there as well. Moving to innovation, entrepreneurship, and small business. Small decrease in this department, and that's really just attributed to some different events that we have. Obviously, some events have sponsorships that create a larger net income than others, and there are a number of events in this department, so that's what we attribute that change to. Minority and women business development and redevelopment. This is where, based on the interlocal language, any redevelopment support items would lie in this column as well. There's been a decrease in this department, and I will just say that I would anticipate some point in 2024 us coming back to you with a revision of the budget just specifically for this department. This is the department that Glenda Washington led, and with her retirement, we are doing a deep dive into the programming that we have throughout Shawnee County, not just from ourselves, but from other partner organizations to better understand where gaps and overlaps may lie. So we've left some of the table stakes in that department, but then left some room to discover what those other items that we may want to support throughout the small business and minority ecosystem in the community may be. So we are convening a meeting with all of the partners that we can think of that would touch that support in first quarter, and then we will come back and show you our findings from that. Talent initiatives is workforce development and talent. A slight increase here. We have added a new event. We plan to host an education and industry summit next year and see how that goes. We really think it's time to kind of gather education partners with industry and have them together in kind of a one-day retreat and summit, if you will, to understand what each other are dealing with from an industry perspective and education, and make sure that they're aligning and hearing the same messages, and start to convene more conversations with those groups. General economic development and general and admin. This is really kind of a department or an area in the budget that a lot of items that you can't attribute to one specific department lie. So for instance, our website, our PR support, all of our economic analysis databases, customer relations management system, which is the CRM licensing, that last bullet. Those items are all within this department. There's an increase here. We do have some legal services in that budget line item as well. And the Economic Outlook Conference lies in that department also. That's all I've got for departments, but Josh will round us out here with a couple of last slides.
So kind of the last column on the budget takes up all of our special initiatives, the things that we don't anticipate happening on an ongoing basis, so we try to split those out. We've got the Innovation Center, which we've moved into next year. We've got Choose Topeka. That program is funded on in batches, right? So it's not a permanent program. And then we always add a little bit in there for some workforce barrier support if the situation were to arise. And then just a summary in total, excluding incentives, the Go Topeka budget has gone up slightly over 2023's budget. The departmental budgets on average are up 6.9%, but the payroll, shared departments, and G&A are down slightly at 2.1. I think that is it. And then we've already approved the budget, but slide here for that.
We might stand if we have any questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. So out of the $5 million in public funding that goes to Go Topeka, $500,000 of that is earmarked for minority, women-owned businesses, disadvantaged business. Can you talk a little bit about that and where in the budget we find that?
Yeah, so that is all combined into this MWBD/redevelopment. Those are two separate departments in our accounting system, but we combine them together for simplicity for the presentation. That includes support for women and minority-owned businesses, blighted or derelict buildings, which is the kind of the redevelopment part of it. I might be missing some of the details there, but we keep track of it separately. We have separate budgets. We put that $500,000 as revenue against those budgets. We keep track of any deficit or, excess from not, if we don't spend the $500,000, we keep track of that in a separate carry forward bucket so that we don't lose sight of that over time. So, anything you wanted to add to that?
No, the only other thing I would add is just that, like Josh mentioned, carry forward. So in the next agenda item, we will show where we built a fence around the excess funds that have been built up over the years that are set aside just for the items that are outlined in the interlocal agreement.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Did you have a follow-up?
No, that answered.
Any other questions? Thank you, Josh. Appreciate it.
I'll stick around. I think I'm going to have something for the next slide.
Yeah. Try not to run past you. Okay, and we have voted and approved the
No,
budget.
we have not yet.
We haven't
Not
finished.
yet?
We were about halfway through.
Okay.
So we have a motion to approve the budget and plan. It was made by Cook and seconded by Emerson. So Mayor Padilla,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Dobler,
Yes.
Councilmember Emerson,
Yes.
Commissioners Rapon,
Yes.
Cook,
Yes.
and Mays.
Yes.
So we have 6 yes, the motion carries.
Oh, we have,
And I'm present now, and I say yes too.
Sorry, yes.
You're fine.
Councilmember Nager, we have 7 yes.
Okay, motion approved. We'll move to action item 3C. The clerk will read.
C is approval of the 2024 cash carry forward agreement in the amount of $17,600,000 for the purpose of providing economic development services.
Okay,
All right.
Josh?
All right, we'll take it away. So, the total carry forward amount that we're requesting is $17.6 million. That is $2 million higher than where we were at last year. We have, among other things, the Innovation Center construction did not start like we anticipated, and so our total spending for the year ended up being under the $5 million. We've got a breakdown on the slide here of of that $17.6 million, what's already spoken for. So included in that is the $6 million of excess spending that was approved in the budget that you just reviewed. We've also have $1.5 million for that, the 5% of the interlocal agreement that we briefly discussed. So that number is projected to grow under the current budget. Like Molly said, we will probably come back with an adjustment at some point next year. So that 1.5 million is slightly higher. And then we have committed incentives beyond 2024. So a lot of our incentives go 5 or 10 years, and there is money that needs to be set aside for that. And then there's also 700,000-ish of ongoing support for the Innovation Center after it's built. So part of that agreement that was made with the developer was that Topeka would lease some space there after it was done, and that was part of the total incentive package that was reviewed several years ago. So then that leaves us with about 5 million, just under 5 million, that is not spoken for specifically, that we can use for future incentive deals or other projects as they come up. So.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes. Commissioner Cook?
couple of questions. So if we can go first to talk about the restricted, or the future commitments, the committed incentives. As we've structured many of our current incentive programs, it's based on performance as opposed to a clawback, which what we may have had in the past. So of that 4,300,000, we're reviewing whether or not they're meeting their incentives and whether or not they're meeting that.
Correct.
At the end of the term, do we know approximately, do we have a projected amount of what may not be collected?
Yes, so we have some projects we've already identified, they're not going to earn the full amount of their incentive. We have other ones that are maybe trending towards not earning all of it, but they haven't explicitly been ruled out from earning it. The numbers that we show in the budget and for this carry forward reflect the maximum that hasn't been explicitly excluded from being
So-
able to earn.
So the $4,304,304 is what we anticipate paying out, what has not been ruled out.
After 2024, yes.
Okay, so now, planning on our innovation campus, we're gonna be talking about that in a little bit later down the road with, it's, I think, an item later in the agenda. But on the remaining for future investment, $4,950,305. If I was to be approached on the street by a person who says, go to Topeka receives $5 million a year, you have roughly $5 million extra, why do you need that much money just hanging around? How would we respond?
So we would say that some of the incentives that we would like to be able to offer, some of the large projects that we would like to be able to bring to Topeka and Shawnee County would require significant cash to be available for us to promise to those companies. And if we don't have what I've heard termed like a deal-making fund set aside for use for those kind of projects when they come up, then we might miss out on potentially life-changing project for Shawnee County.
Okay, those are the two questions that I had specifically.
Sure.
I think Councilmember Dobler has.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. So back on the minority and women, what is the Woman-Owned Business Development, MWBD?
It's a mouthful.
So right now, we've got 1.5 million.
So after the end of 2024, because the 2024 activity's in the budget, right? That's what we project to be the balance reserved for that purpose. Yeah.
Is it 2024 right now?
No,
So we have 1.5 million.
it is about 1.45 million right now, but the budget has a deficit in it, so we expect it to grow next year without any, if we don't make any changes. So,
We expect that 1.5 to grow next year?
no, it's at 1.4 now. At the end of 2023, it will be just over 1.4. But the budget that was just approved only has 400,000-ish of spending for MWBD, which means we will end up adding to that balance. You know, we won't have spent the 500 next year. It will increase the balance at the end of next year.
So let me rephrase a simple question. Why aren't we spending it?
I cannot answer that myself, but Molly can probably give a little more context.
I mean, if I do the K-State math here, that's about 3 years worth of revenue, correct?
Yeah, and of course, it's a slow build, right? So it's not like we just didn't invest any of those dollars for the past 3 years. It's slowly been added to. And we have spent it down for a number of larger projects in the past. One of them was the COVID relief fund that we stood up really fast and dumped a few $100,000 into the small business community from that fund. I would say that next year, we show an underspend of that amount right now. But that's just because we don't want to throw a number out, not knowing what programming we would need to support those funds with. So I do anticipate coming back with a larger number, could be more than 500,000 next year, to chip away at that 1.4, because there are a lot of opportunities in the community that we really can get this funding out onto the street, but we need to be strategic about it. And I think it's a point in time right now for us, kind of an inflection point, to go and look at that programming and the community resources as a whole and see where to best deploy those funds. So I do expect to take a chunk out of that 1.4, 1.5, whichever it ends up being in 2024.
All right. We'll keep an eye on it.
Okay,
Be looking forward to some more information on that fairly quickly. Thank you.
thank you.
Further questions? Josh?
Thank you.
Okay, we're on item 3C. So you've heard the presentation. Is there a motion?
I would approve the cash carry forward agreement. Or make a motion that we approve it.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Mays,
Second.
second by Councilwoman Nager. Call the roll, please.
Mayor Padilla,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Dobler,
Yes.
Councilmembers Emerson,
Yes.
Nager,
Yes.
Commissioners Rapon,
Yes.
Cook,
Yes.
and Mays.
Yes.
We have 7 yes, the motion carries.
Motion being carried, we move to agenda item number 4, presentations.
A is the Go Topeka Quarterly Report.
Okay, Holly?
Hello again. I will kick us off, and then each of the team members will come up and share a little snippet of their own department. Here's our quarterly dashboard that we started to show you in September. Since these meetings have different timing with regard to quarter ends, this one is as of September 30th. In February, you'll get to see year end and quarter 4 numbers. Again, this is a total number for new business, existing business, small business, minority and women business support. And it shows the impact of everything from the project pipeline and what is active and the number of projects that have come across our desks this year to retained jobs, new jobs, and training development support. And a capital investment number there as well. So there's a little bit more of a lag with the small business incentive numbers coming into this dashboard just because they are awarded in quarters. So today actually that committee convened and awarded some funds that you'll hear about a little bit later from Stephanie. So you'll see an uptick in those numbers for February, specifically from the small business incentives side of things. And I will pass it off to the department owners to hit the highlights for quarter 4 for you all, and then we'll all be here for questions. So first up is Stephanie Norwood.
Hello. I'm not sure what order I'm in. Okay, so previously we talked about some of the programming that we are putting in place in partnership with the Small Business Council. We want to provide programming and training sessions to our small business and entrepreneurs in our community that are filling a need for what they need to learn, grow, and survive in our current climates. So we have tomorrow morning, Martha Pyland is joining us to do a Networking 101 and beyond. You all know the importance of networking, and you will utilize that later this evening and unwind probably, but that is a nerve-wracking experience for a lot of people. So Martha is somewhat of an expert in that area, and we are bringing her in to kind of give everybody some points and guidance in that and how you can use that to further your career. So as you can imagine, that would be very useful to our community. And this is the second one of a series that we will be continuing to do bi-monthly into the next year. We are partnering with some of our other community partners, the SBDC, Omni, to kind of help fill in some of those gaps as well. So you'll see more coming out of that, and we hope to grow this and keep it free or low cost to our businesses. So as she mentioned, today we did the Small Business Incentive Award Committee meeting to choose our awards. And previously, so we had a record number of applications this window, and I think that is a result of collaborative efforts from our team. We have been promoting, cold calling, sharing the opportunity. We informed you last time on some of our Hispanic outreach projects where we had a lot of partnership with the city, and we did interpretive services to make this accessible to new communities. And we have seen a reflection of that in our applications. So to give you an idea, we had 68 initial applications, so that means they started an online application. And then following that, they're prompted to provide the supporting documents that we need to verify that they're in the right place to receive these awards and that they're ready to make that move, because we want to be diligent with these funds as well. So out of those, we had 28 completed applications, meaning they returned all of those documents. That is more than the quarters that I have seen so far this year, and I believe for the most part it is a record. So we met today to review those 28 completed applications, and we awarded $158,000 over 25 companies that covered 33 different incentives. Some of those companies received more than one incentive that covered marketing, construction renovation, architect and design, or more. So we are happy at that outcome. We have looked into their applications, reviewed them, made sure that they had the small business support, they had the business plan, the financial outcast. We have very deep conversations about whether we believe they're in the right place to receive those and move forward with them effectively. So we're very happy with where we're at today and looking forward to moving those incomplete applications into the next quarter. And several of those that did receive today are from our outreach projects, so we're happy to see that some of those have come in. Next, I'd like to introduce you to one of our guests. This is Six Rings Media and Thomas, and he's going to share on his collaboration with us. We have actually used him to automate this process, which we are very thankful for because we could have not gotten through all of these applications as effectively as we did without him.
Hi, I'm Thomas Seidlinger. I'm with Six Rings Media, and I'm the head of automation. As she talked about, we took the process that was kind of a more manual application process of mailing in PDFs and made kind of a website portal that people can apply on. And then importantly, on the business side, we have taken away kind of the manual switchboard that no one at GoTopeka is sitting there trying to figure out who needs to get what documents in until the end when Stephanie does her great work and is like, okay guys, like we really need these documents in. But until then, we have a process that you get a reminder every week, sends out, make sure that people are staying on top of their applications, that we get those 28, finished because they're getting reminded with what they need to give. And so that seems to be a helpful process. And then, personally, I've been able to sit in on a few of those meetings while I was assisting with the transition. I was very impressed by the way that they kind of considered the needs of the community, looked at businesses holistically, and tried to make consistent decisions across their different, business applications, because sometimes you get similar applications. So it was really nice to kind of see the work that's being done in the community. So.
And I'd like to add that Thomas and his team have attended some of our GoTopeka programming. They have been a part of the Propeller mentorship programs, and they have attended our business unwinds and just been a good partner in the GTP as well.
I was supposed to bring that up.
That's okay, I got it. Next, I'd like to bring up Jake. He is bringing some Christmas cheer to our community in a unique way, and he'll tell you how our incentives have helped him do that.
Thank you, Stephanie. That looks great, by the way. It's a great job. So thank you very much for allowing me to be here. I'm Jake with Curb Appeal Power Wash and Curb Appeal Christmas, our newer division. And we received an incentive this year that helped us actually provide more lights this year. We have a unique leasing model to where you own the lights, we lease them out to our customers. This year we thought we'd be at about $90,000 in revenue, but with the incentive grant, we actually about $130,000. And so the next 5 years, so we expect our product to last. That's actually well above our projections. So that's one of the exciting things. You might have seen some of our lights here in town, even at Westridge Mall. We get a lot of great Facebook love from a lot of kids in there for the Winter Wonderland we did. But this allowed us to retain most of our workforce is seasonal, but throughout the winter, we can keep working through our Christmas lights. So now we still have our 11 employees, and actually with the incentive money, we actually were able to have customers right away because we knew we were going to be able to get the product. And now we're going to apply that funds to another service we're going to be offering next year, starting in January, and we expect to be able to hire actually 2 more people and another manager as well for that division. So this incentive does help out companies my size with hard to get access to capital nowadays, and you always wonder how you're going to grow and support your family and community. And these kind of things that come up really do help our small businesses grow. So I want to say thank you guys for making it available to companies like us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any questions? I apologize. That was one thing. Okay, thank you.
So that's just another great example of how some of these incentives are helping people expand their services and expand their team. And also he ordered like 80 wreaths and they were claimed before he got them. So that was pretty cool. And that's it for me. Any questions?
I have one, if I may.
Yeah,
I just want to ask you about your outreach you were talking about.
absolutely.
you said a record number of applications, 60 initial applications. Besides your website and other activities, how do you, or what process do you use to make sure that your outreach is equitable across the city? And do you look for specific types of small businesses to fill gaps that have been identified, or are those applications where they come to you and you say, well, this is something we're missing, and those kinds of things? Just kind of make sure that everybody gets that opportunity to see the application process.
Yeah, so we've done a lot of promotion for it this year. It starts with cold calling, sharing with our membership base, and then beyond. Our membership team does a great job of, when they're onboarding, making sure that they share that as well, just because she is out there in the community meeting these small businesses, usually as they're reaching a level where they want to grow. So, but our outreach program that we did with Israel, and he might be able to speak on that, and with the team here at the city as well, we made our way into the community. We had a couple locations. We started at the library, and then we were in the Oakland Community Center to offer those translating services, to present all of the facts about it, and then also a secondary workshop where we were able to sit down with them at the library, where we have accessible technologies, able to scan in their documents, able to search and fill out the W-9s, and to work on those business plans with them, and if they needed it, the translated services. So that's really our first push, but we see that evolving to be able to reach more communities. We've had people reach out to us, so we have some ideas, but it's a lot of people coming to us when they see a need, but we are trying to work it in the other direction as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie.
All right, well, Stephanie Moran, Senior Vice President of Innovation, so I'm going to give you a quick update on our innovation sector here. So I wanted to provide a quick update on Plug and Play. We've been incredibly busy the last few weeks. I've joked that I've been in the office, I think, one day since Thanksgiving, covering all of the innovation pieces. So we've had a lot of great events. I wanted to kind of give some updates on the team real fast first. So our Plug and Play team is actually really growing here in Topeka. As we started out on the ground here, we had Lindsay Laban as our program manager, Eric Buda as sales, who is based over in Manhattan, and then Stephen Fay out in Silicon Valley as the VP of Corporate Partnerships. But as we have seen growth in our sector, and we've also become the temporary home for the ag tech vertical as well. We have added Ann Gundon as program manager, taking over the day-to-day responsibilities with each of the startups as they're going through the accelerator program, which is freeing Lindsay up to do more of the partner success. And then most recently in the last month, we have added Mark McAllister, who is also a Topeka resident, as our ventures associate. And so he is about a month into the job here with Plug and Play. He actually just was out at Silicon Valley when we were there last week and did an amazing presentation on trends in those industries. So we'll likely be bringing him to future meetings to help bring you guys up to date on what those are looking like as well. But some great additions to the team. We're excited to see the team growing here in Topeka locally. With that, we've just graduated our most recent cohort in Silicon Valley last week. And so between the animal health and ag tech verticals, we had 23 startups that were participating this round. You can see several of those here listed. A wide variety of technologies. It was really great to see all of them present last week in Silicon Valley. So we've got products. We have, in the ag sector, it's fun to see the autonomous tractors. Lots of different types of engineering feats going on there. But one of the really exciting things is seeing one of our locals, Mark Majors with Gaia Ag, was out there participating in our animal health sector with his sustainability products. And so it's great to see that now incorporating some of our local startups and seeing them being very successful in this vertical. One of the exciting things we were able to do this go around with our Plug and Play Summit in Silicon Valley last week was the Washburn University students who competed in our pitch competition back in early November. where we took the first and second place winners in that competition and took them to Silicon Valley with us. And so those students you'll see up here, Nick Petrella and Peyton Price, were actually able to introduce themselves, get up on stage at Plug and Play, talk a little bit about their products that they pitched here at Washburn. They were able to network, talk to other startups, kind of see what that next level entrepreneurship looks like for them as they're looking to grow their businesses. And so it was really a unique opportunity for them to kind of get to see what next level entrepreneurship looks like. I think they had a great week. Stephanie and I were joking, I don't think they stopped talking the entire week that we were in Silicon Valley. So they had a really great experience, and we're looking forward to continuing that partnership with Washburn University and being able to connect those students. As I mentioned, Mark Majors with Gaia Ag is also out there. We're happy to announce that he was actually selected as the startup of the cohort within there. So those awards are based on startup participation, their connectivity, and the success in the program. So he was the shining star for this this cohort, which made us very proud as our Topeka residents. So we're excited to see that. You'll see a lot of great articles coming out on Mark and Gaia here coming up shortly. I believe it was featured on the news last night as well, so look for those articles to come. We also then, coming back from Plug and Play, brought 5 of the startups back to Kansas with us. So they came to visit the region, see what the resources here are in the area. So we were excited to have them here. So again, not much rest for the weary here. We've been pretty busy. I know Commissioner Rippon was able to join us for a little while yesterday at the pitch training, which was really fun to be a part of. But they've been here. They've been able to tour the Capitol. We had a watch party over in Kansas City where they were able to meet with some of the Kansas City network. Excuse me, toured Kansas State. We spent a full day Monday over at Kansas State touring facilities, getting to meet some of the heads of the different department areas that are relevant to these startups. And Senator Dietrich was amazing and gave us quite a tour of the Capitol on Monday morning, just kind of ad hoc, so she was a great show person there for us. As I said, we were very busy. So the 5 startups that visited were 5 Element Food Therapy. She produces a line of enhancements for pet food that it's Chinese medicine directed towards specific ailments for pets. We also had Gaia Ag, of course. 10 Lives is an alternative animal protein. eLivestock Global is a cattle tracking. And then Amos Power is the autonomous tractor. So 5 different states were represented with these startups, so it was great to have them here. We've got a lot of interesting conversations, a lot of connectivity, so we're excited for some potential opportunities coming out of those visits. As a quick reminder, our current corporate partners in both of these sectors, so in animal health, we have Hills Pet Nutrition, Bimini Pet Health, and Cargill, and then on the ag tech side, Farm Credit Services of America, Bremer Bank, and American National. Our Plug and Play team is continuing to look for additional corporate partners to help stand up these verticals so that we can continue the success that we're seeing here. All right, and then I know we had a separate, looks like a separate agenda point, but I actually had it as part of this presentation, so if we're okay, I'd like to go ahead and go through the Asher Innovation Center, if that's all right.
Question, Deputy Mayor.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, quick question. Do you have any idea what our return on investment is in Plug and Play?
What I can tell you right now, the numbers at this point are probably a little bit hard to run. These are kind of long-term projects that we're looking at. We do have a couple of these startups that are really interested in moving into the area. We've got several NDAs and pilot programs in place through Hills and Cargill. So I can work with Lindsay and bring some additional information on that back to you guys.
Do we have a long-term pro forma? And what does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, ideally you want to bring some of those startups to relocate here. I can tell you as of the conversations with this batch that came this week, I've got one of the companies is extremely interested. She says, "You've Topeka'd my interest in Topeka." So we're really excited to continue those conversations with her. This is an ideal location for clinical trials, manufacturing, being in the center of the state for her to be able to expand her distribution channels. So I think we've got some really strong upcoming projects with those startups, especially as Mark Majors with Guy has been able to come in and make connectivity with those as well. There's some potential partnerships there as well.
I'm not trying to step on your toes, but sitting here from the side, I
Yeah.
hear things a little differently. So when you talk about an ROI, you might clarify the amount of dollars we're actually putting into plug and play, because there may be a misnomer there.
Yeah, so from Go Topeka's perspective, we're technically a non-paying partner into Plug and Play. I do sponsor some of the events that are held here. The corporate partners that are part of the vertical are the ones who are actually paying for Plug and Play to host the vertical here in Topeka, if that helps to answer the question.
It does, thanks.
Okay. Any other questions on that?
Thank you, Stephanie.
Okay. All right, so Astor Innovation Center update. So just giving you guys a quick follow-up to Bio Realty's presentation in September. As we came out of that conversation, we were talking about pre-lease, new market tax credits, so I just wanted to give you an update on where we're at. So the tenant pre-lease, we have three LOIs signed for a total of about 25% of the space. You'll recall that initially we were looking for 50% pre-lease, but we're looking at alternative options for not having to meet that 50% pre-lease threshold. And so the new market tax credits was one of those options that Buyer Realty's been looking at to help close that gap on construction costs. They were seeking $20 million in new market tax credits to help close that gap. To date, they've received 11 to 15 million in verbal commitments from 2 different CDEs and are continuing conversations with 2 other CDEs to try and close that gap on the financing for the additional 5 to 9 million. Their consultant is projecting we're still probably another 60 to 90 days out from my last conversation with them, which was a couple weeks ago, on having those answers. What happens is this time of year, the CDEs are actually also not only closing out their funding rounds for this year and trying to award those grants, but they have to have their applications in for 2024 as well. So those teams are kind of double working at the moment on those projects. And so we're hoping to hear from that shortly. There's 2 CDEs in our region that we're targeting to try and close that gap. They are in conversations with them, and we also have some members of our team as well as our Innovation Advisory Board who are having conversations with those CDEs to see if we can't help close those conversations on those financing. From a backup plan perspective, so I know we talked about what happens if we do not get that full allotment. What we're looking at is looking at phasing in the Innovation Center. So in order to get construction started, they are having conversations with both CRB and KBS, who are the contractors for these projects, on viable phasing plans. What that could look like is, do we phase in one building and then move to the others? The ideal setting would be phase in the old Woolworths building. That is where the lab space is, and that's what we really need to go after initially. With that, you would almost need to do the center building as well, because that's where the majority of the HVAC electrical systems and all of the connectivity to the buildings would take place. So they're going back and looking at what those construction costs are to phase in those different areas. From a project readiness and key agreements perspective, the property tax abatement is the next effort that we need to work on from their perspective. So we are on track with everything else. And then finalize the lease agreements. The parking agreement with the city, I believe, is in a pretty good place. And then our incentive agreement would follow. Any questions on that?
Commissioner Cook?
I don't mean to direct this at you, so please do
I
not-
understand.
This is not directed at you. But I'm extremely frustrated with where we're at with the Astor Innovation Center. This is a project that we're now 2 years into. And at this point, if you were to look at the former Wolf's building, you would see there's no progress that's been made. I understand that we've got some pre-leases We then shifted gears when we couldn't get enough people to lease up to pursue new market tax credits. Now it looks like we don't have actual commitments. We have verbal commitments, which are not actual commitments, and it doesn't even total up to the total amount that we're looking at. I think that if we are realistic, if we do not see some major progress by the first meeting of JEDO, we should be reevaluating whether or not we want to continue business with BioRealty. Because what they've what they promised us and what they've delivered haven't measured up yet. That's not all on them. There's been a number of things that have happened. But if you were to look at your HVAC and your costs for construction have gone up dramatically in the last 2 years. And so that's not going to stop anytime soon. Anybody who's associated with construction right now knows your construction costs are going to continue to go up. And so I think that it's time to either look at this relationship between Go Topeka, JEDO, and BioRealty and determine, is this a fruitful relationship or not? I'm not asking to do anything today, but I think that if we look at our first meeting in February, if we don't have actual commitments for new market tax credits, not just a verbal, or a handshake, but an actual commitment, maybe it's time to cut ties with BioRealty.
Thank you, Commissioner. Further comment or questions?
Thank you, Commissioner Cook. Thank you. I think that completes my update. I'll turn it over to Ashley.
Hello. So for new business attraction pipeline, right now we have 27 active projects, very busy in this last quarter, which is uncommon. The last 2 years have been pretty slow. It is not how it is right now. So some of the trends you can see, obviously that's manufacturing. Some of those we are seeing some battery related components and even some R&D space that they're looking for. There's two others are more sustainability, looking for alternative energy and recycling components. And then as you can see that we normally haven't had on here very high is the office and data center. Since 2020, office has kind of just died off. We've been starting to see some of those come in, and then 3 data center projects actually came through. Really high in power, so working with Evergy about the power needs. Quite a significant amount of time is needed to meet those because they're looking for a minimum of 50 megawatts, which it's not just us, it's really anywhere. It's going to be hard pressed to meet that. So talking with them about what they can do to extend their timelines. Other trends, most of the ones that have come in just this last quarter are larger. There's 3 projects specifically are looking for over 100,000 square foot buildings that are already ready to go. And then another 4 projects were looking for over 100 acres with utilities in place. Additionally, I just wanted to mention, it was mentioned in the budget about adding some additional tools for lead generation. As busy as we've been, I want to be busier. So looking for ways that we can reach out and contact specific companies that are putting in projects that are open. And we can narrow it down by the region that they're looking at, the industry that they're in, what their requirements are for their project, and we can actually reach out to them, show them either buildings or properties that we have to be more proactive in that. And then also just started a strategic marketing campaign to really get the Go Topeka brand out in front of those key stakeholders that are making the economic development decisions for their companies. So reporting on that should start in January, and looking forward to being more aggressive in that area. Any questions?
Commissioner Cook?
I was just going to ask, specifically on the office and data center, when we look at Topeka and Shawnee County, and we look at the wins that we've had over the last 10 years, with Mars and Home Depot and Target and Frito-Lay and Walmart and Home Depot and Reese's expansion, a lot of these are going to fall under your manufacturing.
Right.
And I think that, when we look at our workforce, as a commissioner, I become a little bit concerned about our workforce development. Do we have enough workers to fill all of the positions that we are creating? We haven't seen a direct increase in our housing and residents. We've seen a little bit, but a lot of it we're drawing from other outside counties, whether it's Osage or Douglas or Jefferson, Jackson, Wabunsee, Potawatomi, et cetera. But as it relates to office and data center, what are we doing to try to attract some of those jobs, those non-manufacturing jobs?
Sure. Well, the office, I mean, again, it's really just started, looking to get back, and even the project that we did get, it is 3 days in the office and then 2 days remote. So as far as attracting, some of the key items that we're highlighting is how we are pretty much in between these great universities. So within 60 miles, we have access to 4 different universities. Within another 45-minute radius, we have access to 400,000 in our labor pool. So we can pull a lot based on our location. That's kind of one of the key selling points of Topeka, is just our location in general. In regards to data center, those aren't a lot of jobs, honestly. It's more looking at the capital investment for those projects, because it's going to be a larger CapEx, and maybe, I don't even know if 50 jobs for those 3. So the data centers aren't needing a lot of positions filled, but the office, we have access to a really big workforce.
I look at our partners, whether it's Bartlett and West, Advisors Excel, Security Benefit, Federal Home Loan Bank, SE2, all of those, and looking to say how can we grow more of those types of industries.
I'll just add a couple more things on top of Ashley's comments. So obviously you all know that we're trying to partner very, very much with the MTA to go really hard on aviation projects, and that's different, could be manufacturing, but it's definitely a different skill set than we have right now, and so probably would be less cannibalizing, if you will, than some other manufacturing projects. And then a trend across economic development as a whole is that most people's pipelines look like this. Most people have a majority of manufacturing projects. It's not just a Topeka thing. It's not just a regional thing. So it's on par for the trend across the nation. And then one other thing just on the office component, the project that we had come through last week that needed space, that's one thing that we don't really have, at least advertised in Shawnee County, is available Class A office space. So what we're doing is talking to our existing employers and understanding how much free space they may have in their existing footprint. If they're not using it, maybe they've got 20, 30,000 square feet at one of those major employers that you listed, and they would be open to having a tenant in their space. So we're looking at creative ways to put some Class A office space in front of people, even though we don't have any that's really advertised right now.
Okay.
And Molly or Ashley touched on it. The aviation, are those numbers up from what we've had previously?
Yeah, they're growing slowly. We actually have, I would think sometime in the next week or so, Curtis and I would be nailing down a date for a site visit from a company that has narrowed down to us and one other location as their top 2 final sites, and they have some Topeka connections, which help to make that lead a little warmer. But it's growing, just not as fast, because we don't have hangar space out there that's able to offer them. So we're really trying to leapfrog, because we've been stagnant in that area for some time. So it'll be important to really continue to stay in lockstep with the MTA as they get aggressive with their strategy.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Emerson?
Thank you, Mayor. Molly, a question regarding that. We all, and I don't know when that was, it was quite early in this year, maybe February or March of this year, we all did like a day-long thing where we did a strategic plan and some stuff for aviation. Yes. What's the status of that?
That was something that was hosted at our office, but actually hosted by the MTA. So I can't speak to the exact outcomes from that meeting. I do know that they did use the information to create some sort of a framework when Curtis Sneed was brought on board to inform their decision-making and strategy. But I can't speak to the exact strategic initiatives that were approved or anything from that meeting. That was their meeting. It just happened to be at our office.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Other questions? Thank you, Molly.
And I think Stephanie's going to come up and introduce it.
Thank you, Ashley.
All right, well, I'd like to take a moment to introduce our new Director of Equity and Business Development, Israel Sanchez. As we talked about earlier, Glenda retired this past month, and I know several of you attended that retirement celebration, but we're looking forward to Israel stepping onto the team. As a reminder, we've done a little bit of a reorg, and so Israel will be reporting into my portion of the organization so that we can leverage synergies across small business entrepreneurship and our women's and minority programs.
All right, well, I'm glad to be here. Here we go. So, Mayor earlier asked Stephanie about the outreach to make sure we have equity in our community when it comes to small business development. And as a continuation of our outreach to the Hispanic community, we actually had a Hispanic How to Start Your Business workshop at our offices. We had about 40 people show up. It was all in Spanish. So the idea is, starting a business itself is cumbersome. It could be complex. And when you don't know the language, it makes it even more complicated. To have those workshops in your own native tongue, it's such a relief to them, right? Because they can ask questions in the native language and have access to information that otherwise would be kind of a barrier to have. So we're proud to continue some of that work. And I was actually partnering with our Nestor from the city in October to actually lead some of those conversations and those training in Spanish. And we were able to have someone's business even apply for incentives, which Stephanie mentioned. We have some of those thanks to the outreach that we've done. So we're definitely continuing to do that, and we'll continue to do that as well. So we have about 25 people show up to that one, as I mentioned, about 40 signed up originally, which is a good outcome, I believe. And we also had an equity opportunity pitch contest. We had about 11 businesses show up and pitch their business ideas to a panel of judges. I know they had a hard time deciding because a lot of them were actually really good ideas, and a lot of them, you can see they're very excited to not only further their business, but also help our community by providing services that we all need. But the winners, we actually had a pool of $38,000. First place was Chef Lamona. She's gonna use that money of $15,000 to put a frozen gumbo in stores, which is really exciting. Second place went to Fatima Luthi for the grind coaching and consulting. That was $10,000 to develop a mobile app to help her business of financial consulting. She also does a lot of consulting to Latino business owners because she also speaks Spanish fluently. So that is also something that we're proud to be have in our community. Third place went to Esteban Polanco with Paletas Royale, which is a Mexican type of ice cream. He was awarded $8,000 by the judges. We had samples actually that day, and they were actually delicious.
You didn't bring any.
I did not bring any. Next time I'll ask Esteban to come in, but he brought enough for everybody that was there, so actually it was really good. And fourth place went to Jamie Davis, and that was $5,000 for Topeka Treats, which is treats for pets, I believe dogs. I don't know if all the kinds of pets. We didn't eat that, but she said it, people can actually eat it because they're made for natural products, but I didn't try it, so I don't know for sure. But besides awarding, obviously, all of what they're serving, we are also, looking forward to walking alongside them in this journey to make sure that, they have this money, but also make sure they succeed. It doesn't stop there for us. And I'm part of, go to Topeka now, and I'm honored to be here, to be part of this team and see how I can help our community succeed and also develop their small businesses. So if you have any questions, let me know.
Just a quick one.
Yeah.
Maybe you mentioned it. After these awards are given to these budding entrepreneurs, is there a follow-up mentorship? I know in a lot of programs anymore, the term is used as navigator. You make sure, now that you've won the award, how are you applying what you've learned and the award to continue with your success? Is there some kind of follow-up or backfill on that?
Yeah, we definitely want to make sure that I'll probably be reaching out to them here in the next, Stephanie can talk to that. But we definitely want to make sure that they have the right resources available and also see us as partners when it comes to helping them develop their business and growing Lamona's case would be scaling their business to the next level. I know Glenda's been part of that before and will continue that, but you can go ahead and speak to that.
Yeah. So as we continue to mentor these winners of these pitch competitions, we'll make sure that they have the connectivity. So like with Chef Lamona, making sure she has the connectivity to the grocery stores. We've been helping her with the food labeling to make sure she has the labeling she needs to be able to do that. Again, with Esteban, he's looking for retail locations and looking to expand that business or grow that business. So we're connecting him with the SBDC to help build out business plans and making sure that we're walking alongside them to have the resources and ensure that they're successful. So each company kind of needs a little bit something different, and we'll continue to follow up with them as we're going through that process.
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. Good to have you here.
Thank you.
I'm not going to ask you a question. I'm not going to
Okay.
ask you about the budget, but I am interested in the $500,000 for disadvantaged businesses. I want to know where it goes. I'd like to see metrics on
Okay.
how many jobs it creates, how many businesses it creates, how many jobs it retains, all those kind of things. So as you move forward, and I understand that you're going to take a look at the program, and
Definitely.
as somebody coming in, I think that's great. I think it's time to take a look at it. Just keep in mind that we need to see those metrics. I mean, this other
Most
stuff's
definitely.
great, and a pitch contest, and it seems like it added up to about 30,000 bucks or
38,000.
whatever out of 500. We need to know where that money's going, and not folded in with a bunch of other stuff. Just where are we spending $500,000? So I appreciate
Definitely, yeah.
anything you can do along those lines. Thank
I
you.
will.
Stephanie, did you have a response?
No, I would just say that that is part of, as Israel and I have made this transition with Glenda and are moving into the new year, that's one of our first priorities, is just a full evaluation of everything that's going on
Right.
within that department, which programs are working, which are not, where do we have gaps, where do we need additional services, and really just taking a deep dive into that.
I appreciate that, and I'm getting old. I don't have a lot of time. Keep it simple.
Yes,
We want to know $500,000, where's it going?
we will absolutely.
It's
like I
not
said,
rocket science.
yeah.
Let's get that figured out. I read the first two sentences of the explanation, and I don't even understand what it
Yeah.
says.
Like I said, with the change taking place late in the year, we just want to take a few more months to kind of take a look at it and make sure that we're doing the right things.
You say 2 months?
Yeah.
Thank you.
A few months maybe, but yeah, no. We're looking into that, and we'll be bringing back information to you the next meeting.
Great. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Most definitely. Thank you.
Stay with us now.
Running out of time.
Now, pass on to Trina now.
You don't have to.
Thank you.
Hello. Before I jump into the two items I was planning to talk about tonight, I did want to touch on the workforce question that you asked, Commissioner Cook. Excuse me. In this past year, Rhett Flood, and I have attended a couple of times as well, have been trying to make better connections at not just Washburn University, but at the universities surrounding Topeka, KU, K-State, Emporia, and attending career fairs there alongside some of our employers, so that we can be there to promote Topeka while they're promoting positions within their companies. I think that's something that we plan to continue doing moving forward, so we're not just looking at the people that are here now, but the people that are nearby that could potentially come and join our workforce. Another thing that I'm working on alongside Patrick, our economic advisor, and Aaron from our marketing team, is we're putting together a comprehensive workforce report that we hope to present to you at the next JEDO meeting, or at least provide in the quarterly or the annual report at the end of the year, that will really showcase not just the number of jobs that we have, but the number in our unemployment, but also education levels of our current population and the population around us, education, people that are enrolled in colleges in the area and what fields they are going into, and a lot of other information. So I'm excited to have that ready for you here in a couple of months, and then continue that report every year. So we'll have that information. So, okay, so jumping into Choose Topeka, excuse me. I'm sure by now you have heard about the Telemundo feature that happened in October. We did not expect the attention that we got from this. I don't think anyone did. But within the first day, I think the TikTok of this feature had over 5 million views. So that's in 24 hours. In that first 24 hours, we had received so many phone calls, emails, and even visits. So where Choose Topeka is usually me following up with all the interest. We brought Israel in and Manny from our team to really help respond to those Spanish-speaking people who I cannot communicate with. And so they've been really great on getting up to speed on Choose Topeka and how the program works, and then communicating that to those people. We also understand that this has impacted the entire community. The city's been getting calls, the workforce centers, the employment agencies. I mean, anyone you can think of has been getting attention from this. And our marketing team worked really hard to put together 2 different types of information, one explaining how Choose Topeka works in both English and Spanish, and then also explaining how, regardless of receiving an incentive, this is why you should move here and grow your life. So I think that's been really awesome. Just in our office, in the last 2 months, we have seen over 3,000 phone calls, emails, and visitors. We've had visitors from New York, California, Texas, Florida, Ohio, Iowa, and that's all that I know of off the top of my head. And that's people just coming here to visit. Oh, New Jersey, I forgot New Jersey. People just coming here to check out our city. And we have had over 7,000 people create profiles on the new SkillFit platform that is linked to the Choose Topeka website. What that means is we have over 7,000 new job seekers that are seeking employment within Shawnee County. As employers, I've done a lot of outreach to employers, just saying we have all these people that are interested in moving here. Are there any positions that you might have available for them? And several have reached out with job descriptions, and I can then go into SkillFit and find people that match some of those skills that they're looking for, and then connect them to that employer. So far, I know for sure I have forwarded actual resumes for engineers, teachers, doctors, attorneys, and accountants to different employers within Shawnee County that have come through just from this Telemundo feature. So it's been very exciting. It is slowing down a little bit, but we appreciate all of you and everyone in this room who's been impacted by that, just patience as we are working through this huge influx of people. Jumping into childcare, we're going to talk about specifically the Innovative Communities Grant, which was the add-on grant that we received as part of the Child Care Capacity Accelerator. One of the things that we have already signed on for is a program called Engine, which is an English as a second language program that is industry specific. So what that means for childcare is if a person who does not speak English would like to be a child care worker or would like to start their own child care facility, but English is, something that's kind of holding them back, this will give them industry-specific training towards their certification in child care while also teaching them English. So we're really excited about that. We've purchased 25 slots that we are launching in January alongside Child Care Aware. And Child Care Aware will be the holder of this program, so they'll be the ones enrolling people and helping them through the process. The other thing that we're working on, we have reached kind of an agreement with the Topeka Community Foundation where we are creating a community fund for businesses and individuals who wish to contribute to the child care cause. They can donate money, and those funds will be utilized for parent scholarships. So if you have a family that, they're having a hard time affording child care, even after receiving state benefits or anything else that's available to them, this fund will help fill that gap for them. The funds will not go to the parent, they'll go directly to the child care provider. So we're making sure that the money is actually being utilized how it's meant to be, and the provider is getting all of the funds that they need. Because especially a lot of those in-home providers, if a family can't make their payment for the week, a lot of times they will say, it's okay, you can just get caught up when you're able to. And they need to make their living too. So this is gonna help fill that gap. We're also narrowing down our selection of a marketing agency that is going to stand up a website that will be both a recruitment tool to build the talent pipeline for child care workers, but also be a place to kind of house that community fund. There'll be a donate button, and we'll also feature any companies that do decide to contribute to that fund as well. A couple of other things that I don't have a slide for, I'll just touch on really quickly. In early January, we are launching the Wise Women program, which is a program for, WISE is actually an acronym. It stands for Women in the STEM Economy. And it is for high school girls who are interested in entering a STEM career. It's a mentorship program. And so far, I have just over 20 women in the community who work in STEM industries who are very excited about me being mentors. A couple of them are actually wanting to help build the programming for this. So it'll be one-on-one mentorship, but also job shadowing, field trips, and then we'll have group sessions with soft essential skills, or whatever you would like to call them. There's a lot of different names, but you know what I'm talking about. And so we're really excited about that, and that program will run from February to the end of July, and we'll hold a mentorship training in January, because working with youth is different than working with your peer as far as mentoring. That's all I have. So that's the end of the Q4 report from Go Topeka. Is there any questions for me or anyone else on our team?
Any questions?
Okay.
No. Thank you, Tran. So we buzzed by the 4B earlier, as we asked her. So now we're at to public comment. And I have one person signed up here, Lozone Graves. I don't, there he is. Sitting back there. Good to see you. Different setup, whenever you're ready. Lozone.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that. Thank you to the JEDO for the opportunity to speak. What I passed out was what I wanted to actually speak to, but if I have time to get to it, I will. I appreciate the deputy mayor and his comments and questions. Because I've been asking and speaking to this for a while. The reason the 10% that we're discussing is even in the interlocal agreement didn't come by accident. That was some good advocacy our organization did 20-some years ago. So I do have a vested interest of speaking to this because I want to make sure that what I fought for, advocated for, and made enemies about still is enacted the way that I see it, because times may change, but sometimes things do not. I think that asking the right question is important, and framing the question is even more important. Your interlocal agreement says nothing about 10% being dedicated for women and minority businesses. It's socially and economically disadvantaged business. I spoke to this, to the JEDO, numerous times over a decade. People just didn't want to listen. Nobody wants to ask. Quickly, this document lays out what I expect to do with our Microsoft TechSpark partnership. One of the things that, and thank you to the Great Topeka Partnership, Stephanie, Trina, and of course Glenda and Molly, for helping us bring our TechSpark coach here, showing them a great time. Impressed with TCAL, impressed with Washburn Tech East, impressed with Level 2 Tech Center at the library, very impressed with the Brown site, and even more so impressed with the Cyrus K Hotel. If there's any questions about that there, I will take time to come and speak to that again, but I don't want to miss this moment here because some information that was shared of concerning to me is about whatever is going to be redone on the 10%. I never see the term much socially and economically disadvantaged, but if you want to look at your own interlocal agreement, your own economic development definition, that clause that says 10%, is dedicated for those who are socially and economically disadvantaged. And the reason that I mention that is because not all small women or minority entrepreneurs are economically disadvantaged. And I think that you should look into that and make sure that under your legal contractual agreement and your interlocal agreement, that's exactly where those monies are dedicated and who they are supporting. Part of what I'm going to do with our Tech Spark project, because what's important is that the state is going to be receiving millions of dollars under the Digital Equity Act. It is already, and I came here numerous times in the City Council explaining about the $15 million of leftover ARPA funds from the Treasury. Some of it has been released, 14.7. In January, another $5 million is going to be released. I have, from the very beginning, advocated for the city, county, someone to put together a strategic digital equity plan, because that will plan out for 3 years of what we want to see happen. I have asked for assistance to help put together a proposal, because we already know that the money is going to come. We just need to get a proposal and wait for what is going to happen. But everybody is busy in their lanes and it's hard to get information. So I'm going to take it on myself, which I actually started in 2020 when the world shut down, and I had plenty of time, of putting together a draft digital equity strategic plan. I can't do it by myself, and hopefully the members of TSC Get Digital will help. What I didn't have in 2020 and what we have now is ChatGPT, so that a lot of the information is out there already. Paid $200-some-thousand for a Tilson broadband study. The Garner report hit on it. There was another state report that was done in 2014. If we get the documents, we can just feed it up into a ChatGPT, ask the right questions, and have it build us for us. But we need to put together at least a 3-year strategic digital equity plan by the time the DEA, under the infrastructure bill, monies get here. We need to have a proposal already done. We know what we need, and there are people who can provide us the information, what we need. And not just for the city, but outside in the county. Of this $15 million for public Wi-Fis, and Mr. Mark here with the county, he's part of the TSC division. We were at a meeting this morning, and there's public Wi-Fi, a lot of money for public Wi-Fi. I don't know where those locations are, but there's monies there, and these are things that we should do. There's going to be other monies in January for digital literacy and skills training. There's a proposal that we need to have done to make sure that we can have programs in all over, wherever we can. So I'm going to take it upon myself, with help or without, on preparing some type of digital strategic equity plan and to work on a proposal from what I know is needed. I know what I'm doing out at the Gil Carter Center and other things that needs to be done. I'm not new to this. Our Tech Spark coach would like to come back in earlier next year. What I'm going to do, because it's going to take time to do this plan here, I'm going to schedule on a month-by-month basis up until the fellowship ends in May, bringing in Microsoft execs, probably Zoom, of course, for specific targeted information. In January 17th, we're looking to plan the person from Microsoft Global that deals with how can nonprofits transform their operations using Microsoft platforms and tools. That's going to be a Zoom meeting to bring the nonprofits so they can ask. There's things that are happening within generative AI that are going to be able to help small businesses, marketing, proposals, a lot of things. Zooming someone in from Microsoft to speak specifically about the tools and the opportunities that they have. And then there's the TILs for the computer science education for K through 12. I have a link into these individuals, not for them to get with me, but to link them up with the right people in this community so we can start picking out how are we going to help our nonprofits, how are we going to increase computer science in schools, and what can we do for the small businesses, Hopefully when Ms. Erica Smith, our coach from Microsoft Philanthropies, come back next year, I will have actual participation by, like I had in KCK, where we're also doing a project, the university, the Chamber of Commerce, the school district, El Centro, the mayor's office, All of them were participating in our meeting, in our presentation in Kansas City, Kansas. I didn't see anyone. So I hope the deputy mayor, and wish him well on his effort. I don't expect to be called to be a part of anything, but I do appreciate you asking questions. And I hope that you all take into consideration and read your own interlocal agreement and your definition so that people aren't thinking that I'm crazy. You should have a social and economically disadvantaged development, not WNDE. Because you're forcing apples to look like oranges, and that's not good. A small business is bankable when you have 1,000 employees and $10 million a year in revenue. You're still considered small. Women and minority businesses, not all of them owners, are economically disadvantaged. And I think that once there's some clarity on this, that we can actually do some other things to make sure that you don't roll over $1 million and you get that money into the hands of the people who are not bankable, who are enterprises. And it's not just for businesses. The 10% is not just for business. It's for workforce training and expansion, youth employment. The terminology in this interlocal agreement did not happen by accident. And people may not like me to be at the table, but I wanted to make sure that the wording was correct, because 20 years down the road and revolving chairs and different bodies, different people have different ideas, but the document still stays the same. It's still the same population. It's still the same amount till 2031. So I would like to know more from the deputy mayor and whomever as you try to sort this out, because I'm not going to be working with someone clearly economically disadvantaged, refer them to a resource, and then them being told, no, we ain't got nothing to do with us. Thank you for your more than 4 minutes.
Thank you, Lozano. No other person has signed up for public comments. If the clerk would read number 6, a reminder for future JEDO.
So in 2024, we have 4 JEDO board meetings that are scheduled. February 14, May 8, September 11, and December 11.
Thank you. That's about it. If there's anything they'd like to add before we proceed. Okay. Yep. No further business coming before this body. I adjourn this meeting. Thank you for attending.